Okay, so we're going to have a little bit of fun with this one, but the serious part is this. We want to highlight some key gender differences between guys and gals so that you don't actually ruin your wife's day. So that just in case you're like me and you came to marriage having been raised in an all-boys family and educated in an all-boys school, and even the church you went to just had a few boys in it, only to discover that women have certain sensitivities that aren't even on your male radar.
Welcome to the Only You Forever podcast. If you want to build a thriving, passionate marriage, we've got the research, the truth, and the answers you've been looking for. And now, here are your hosts, Caleb and Verlinda Simone Gendel.
Hey, everybody. This is episode number 73. And I don't really want to tell you how to ruin your wife's day, actually.
I'd like to tell them how to ruin their wife's day because I'm quite experienced at this.
Really?
Yeah. Thank you for having that rich belly laugh at my expense. Now, just in case you're joining us for the first time today, this episode and the next are going to be filled with a particular literary agent called satire.
Really?
And that will be sprinkled with a good dose of sarcastic wit. But let me say something where I'm genuinely serious. I need you to know that I believe in the equality of women and men. And I believe that your wife, as mine is worthy of respect at all times and without exception. So that was my formal disclaimer. And in addition to that, actually, I also believe that teasing mixed with sarcastic truth is a form of verbal abuse. So we're not going to go there, and we're not going to make this personal, but wanted to have a little bit of fun in this episode. And if you listen to us long enough, you'll learn that we both enjoy teasing each other and being teased, but in a healthy way. Because there is a healthy way to do that. So that's my disclaimer. Now let's get to the top 3 ways to ruin your wife's day.
Okay, I have a question.
What?
What is teasing mixed with sarcastic truth? Like versus teasing?
Well, teasing mixed with sarcastic truth is where like you don't have the balls to come out and say something directly to your wife that you're concerned about. So you're going to tease her and just lace it with a little bit of stuff so that she's not sure. But it kind of seems like you're actually needling her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You'll have to point it out if I ever
it's really
do that.
More about sarcasm.
Okay.
Yeah. It's fun with a bite.
Oh.
Rather than just good, sincere fun.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Now let's get back to these top 3 ways.
Okay, number 1. Miss your lunch date with her. Later on that day, have your secretary call or text to apologize because you're too busy. So a few researchers did a study of college women and men asking what they wanted in a marriage partner. And they were asking about qualities one would want in a spouse and looking for those qualities where there were gender differences and where women in particular placed a higher emphasis. Okay? So this was the study. One of the qualities that they come up with was intelligence. Now you can't...
Can't do much about that.
No. So what you got, right? But the researchers surmised that possibly women felt this would translate into greater financial stability and dependability.
Okay.
Fair enough,
yeah,
right?
Makes sense.
But the 2 qualities I want to emphasize are they desired a spouse who would be considerate, number 1, and dependable, number 2. That's why the best way to ruin your wife's day is to completely let her down.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that is true for you?
Yeah.
If I want to bomb your day, I could just let you down. That would work really good.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, absolutely, right?
Yeah.
So here's the deal. In our culture today, women don't need men for food, housing, and basic necessities. They can get those things on their own.
Right, yeah.
What they do want is a man who's dependable as a husband for themselves and as a father for their children, right? So if you want to ruin your wife's day, just make sure you're not dependable. Don't keep your commitments. Don't follow through with what you promised. Just let her down.
Yeah.
And I think where this comes from is sometimes as guys, we can really kind of just roll with it as single men and be very spontaneous, like life's one big adventure, and I'm at the center of it. And then we start dating, we get married, we're still operating with the mindset that we can change directions at any moment. But part of being married happily is being dependable, and that means that we need to keep our commitments, and if change is necessary, include our wives as equals in that change process. Like I'm going to invite you into the decision making and not just do it and drop you. Yes.
Like, I think spontaneity is good too. It's not like because you're married, you can never be spontaneous.
No.
But it's not...
It's shared.
Yeah, it's not being spontaneous as an individual and ignoring the rest. Okay.
Yes. So another aspect of this is we don't want to just take dependability by itself, but also being considerate is important here, right? So consideration is being careful not to cause inconvenience or hurt to others, namely, in this case, your wife.
Okay.
So this is just kind of being very thoughtful of your spouse.
Yeah.
And it'll delight your wife if you're a husband who is a considerate person. You're intentional about thinking about her needs, her concerns, and how your actions and choices impact her.
Absolutely.
So I know when I do this, creates lots of good mojo. When I don't, you feel that very keenly too.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So being inconsiderate will most definitely ruin her day because it'll feel like you don't care. It just feels dismissive.
Or neglected.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
you're ignored or bypassed, right? But being considerate requires you to take those moments to pause and consider her so that she's not inconvenienced or hurt.
And that may be an inconvenience
For me to do.
for the husband. Yeah. Okay.
Really, these are gentlemanly qualities.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So guys, even if your wife may like some grease under your fingernails, or maybe she's the type that likes you in a tweed coat with a stack of essays under your arm as you come through the door. Regardless, what she wants is to be married to a gentleman. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
I remember I had this huge fail moment when we were dating. And just to make the story quick, I was moving house. We didn't live together before we got married. I was moving house, had a couple buddies to line up to help. I started off the wrong foot, even though you weren't, like I said, moving in with me because we weren't married. But were we engaged?
I don't know where you're going.
We were engaged, yes.
Okay.
But I didn't consider how you might want to be included in the day, the moving day, because the place I was moving to was where eventually you and I would both be living, right?
Oh.
So there was some significance, and I was just kind of being male and taking care of logistics, right?
Yeah.
So I never stopped to consider your thoughts and feelings and desire to be included. And so I was inconsiderate, and you ended up being very upset.
I do not even remember that.
That's good. Let's keep moving. So
Shouldn't have brought it up because now I have to talk about this.
no, we don't have to. So here's the point. Be considerate and be dependable.
Yeah. And put those two together.
Yes.
Good.
Second way to ruin your wife's day, take her for granted. Best started the day after you get back from your honeymoon.
Really?
Well, like not being considerate, that can be like taking your wife for granted. But we want to drill into the second best way to ruin your wife's day, which is to take her for granted. Women just love being taken for granted.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
So guys, newsflash, when you get married, most of you, as I did, are coming to marriage with the belief that your wife will keep working on the relationship.
Okay.
And here's the newsflash part. Are you ready for it? Women are significantly more likely than men to carry the belief that couples stop working on their relationship when they marry.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So the researchers in this study from 2009 noted that studies of marital and dating relationships have repeatedly shown that women report lower levels of overall satisfaction and needs fulfillment than men. Most women are less satisfied with their marriages than men are.
Why is this?
Well, in part, it's because women are more sensitive to conflict and sensitive to tensions and unmet expectations in their romantic relationships. And on top of this, for Linda, they're expected to do most of the emotion work of romantic relationships. So she's saddled with responsibility for keeping the marriage happy. This is kind of how we socialize women
Okay.
in our culture. And she's also dissatisfied and more sensitive to conflict and tension.
Ay, ay, ay.
Right?
Yeah.
So
No wonder men think women are so hard to please.
well, here's the scoop. Guys, I want to talk to you. Both of you create the marriage that you have. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty powerful statement if you stop and think about it. Both of you create the marriage or have created the marriage that you have right now. And so I'm calling men everywhere to step up to the plate, to be men and to lead in their marriages. And I don't mean when I say lead, dominate, be the boss or be the dictator. I said lead the relationship, not lead your wife even, right? So take ownership of the quality of your marriage and work with your wife to always keep that marital satisfaction turned up high. Because if you want to ruin your wife's day, all you got to do is get married and just take her for granted. Take the relationship for granted. Don't show interest or motivation in your making your relationship as awesome as possible. Don't treat her like she's special. Don't act like you're especially attracted to her. Don't bother acknowledging her significance as your only beloved and as the mother of your children. Just get her to produce an income so you can buy more toys. Encourage her to stay on top of the dishes, laundry, and dirty diapers, and you'll be doing just fine.
Yeah. Right.
So that's all wrong, right?
Yeah.
You gotta romance your wife.
Oh, I like this part.
So let me give you an easy win here for guys.
All right.
A little hint. Women are more aware of the presence and absence of compliments in their romantic relationships than men. This is from research in 2004. And compliments, and let me just sound nerdy for a moment before I put this in plain
That'd be
English.
unusual.
What?
For you to sound nerdy.
Now, that was the sarcastic touch of truth there.
That was pure truth. Sorry.
Okay,
go
compliments are a speech act that allows for intimate talk and sharing positive feelings and contributes to or reflects the overall satisfaction and value of the relationship. That's a fairly nerdy definition, right?
Yeah.
But just unpack that a little bit. Okay, so when you say to your wife something, a simple compliment, like, that was an awesome supper, babe, or you look cute in that, you're sending a very clear signal to your wife that says, I'm satisfied with you. That's a good signal.
Yeah.
That's not going to ruin her day.
No.
No.
Not at all.
So this is why a compliment is a speech act that allows for intimate talk, because you're opening up the opportunity for her to respond and you're revealing like a little piece of your heart about how it's feeling toward her.
Yeah.
Right? It's sharing a positive feeling and it reflects the satisfaction and value of the relationship. So use compliments.
And use them sincerely. I think I can see now what you were meaning about the sarcasm barbed with truth or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like if it was a terrible supper and you're like, oh, that was an awesome supper, babe.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, ouch. There's no like...
Even you could say those words with just the edge on your voice that told her that you didn't think that at all.
Yeah. Okay.
So compliment your wife, but as part of that, talk about your relationship with her.
Don't just compliment on the details of the day necessarily.
Yes. So number 2 was take her for granted. That's a good way to ruin her day. So rather than, if you don't want to do that, compliment her. Number 3.
I'm looking forward to the rest of today. Just saying.
Right. Number 3, pass a comment about her less than perfect body and then hit her up for some action that night. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that would be a great day too.
Yeah, that would ruin her day. So we got to figure this one out a little because it's important, but it's also actually kind of complicated, right?
I don't think it's that complicated. It's perfectly normal.
But yeah.
Maybe for a man, you might think it's complicated.
Well, the research is a little complicated.
Okay.
But
Let's go with research.
Since I'm nerdy, we can figure this out. Okay? So the researchers asked their spouses to complete a 1-page diary in which they responded to the question, thinking about the next 24 hours, how satisfied do you expect to be with your sex life? So they took out as many other variables as they could just to isolate wives' expectations for sexual satisfaction. And so the more satisfied a wife expected to be, the more satisfied she became.
Really?
Yep. The less satisfied she expected to be, the less satisfied she became. Now, for husbands, the expectation didn't predict satisfaction.
Okay.
So this tells me that how your wife feels about her sexuality is very, very important. And it means that she needs to feel both sexually competent, but also confident.
Okay.
So if you want to ruin your wife's day, take a crack at her confidence by making her feel uncomfortable in her own skin. This is how I'm kind of unpacking this, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So you'll understand that this is very sensitive stuff because now we're into body esteem, which is, I think, a pandemic issue amongst North American females.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me talk to wives first. You know, it's standard fare to complain to your girlfriends about your body. I think you should stop doing that. I think your goal for your body should be to have it healthy, and you can decide what healthy looks like. But here's the point I really want to have wives hear, is to learn to accept your husband's love and appreciation for your body. And guys, I hope you're hearing this because I hope you're giving it to her. Learn to accept your husband's love and appreciation for your body, even if you don't agree with him. If he appreciates it, don't question that. Don't try to talk him out of it. You want to allow your heart to buy into that and be happy that he appreciates your body. Love him for that. So let me talk to guys. There's a wire that runs into a woman's brain straight from her body esteem over to her trust and jealousy signals. And this is well documented for women. It doesn't happen for men, so you're probably not seeing yourself do this, but you can bet that she is. Trust and jealousy are significantly associated with body esteem. So if the body esteem is low, distrust and jealousy are high.
Yeah.
So what this looks like is body shape and weight concerns for your wife likely leads to her questioning of your fidelity.
Wow.
And it may make her more sensitive to perceptions of you flirting. So here's a quote from one woman who described her experience as follows. My body image, and this is from the research that we have linked in our article at oyf.link/73, so you can get it all there. My body image made me insecure and jealous easily. Always thought he'd want someone thinner than myself. Sometimes I think being too fat is the reason why I've had so few romantic relationships. So there's a much stronger connection for women between self or body esteem and their romantic relationships. So guys, your marriage should be a place that strengthens, builds up, encourages your wife toward a positive body self-image and positive self-esteem. Mm-hmm. Your wife wants to know that you find her sexy. Mm-hmm. And if you've been nagging her about her weight or rubbernecking at other women or flirting with just the skinny waitresses, guess what? You're probably getting less sex because you're fueling body image concerns for your wife.
Interesting.
Because in this same study by Ambani and Strauss, they found that women were more likely to disclose that body image influenced sexual relations.
Really?
Yes. How they perceive their body influenced their willingness to get engaged in to have sex.
Yep.
So we need to be really sensitive to the pressures that our wives are under in a culture that objectifies women and teaches them that their bodies allow them or deny them access to social goods, including deeper romance with you, their husband.
Wow.
So that, we've had some humor in this episode, but that's serious business right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah, that's a good way to ruin her day, too. That ruins more than just one day, too.
Yes. So the 3 best ways to ruin your wife's day. And I keep worrying when I'm producing this that there's going to be some jerk out there who's going to find this list and use these ideas. So let's be clear. This is for all you husbands out there who are gentlemen or want to be gentlemen and who want to honor and cherish their wives. And I'm super glad you're listening. And I'm thankful for your interest in your marriages. These are serious issues.
Yeah.
Next week, though, we get to talk about the flip side.
The 3 best ways to ruin your husband's day.
It bothers me how excited you sound about that. Okay, so that's all for today's episode. You can get the full show notes at oyf.link/73. Remember, we are here to help build thriving, passionate marriages.
Passing marriages?
What is your marriage passing? So if this was helpful to you, we'd love it if you could help us spread the word and share this with others in your social circles, people you know, other guys that are married, gals that are married, or thinking about getting married. Mm-hmm. Share it with them. That would be a big help. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the OnlyYouForever.com podcast. Please help us reach and influence a wider audience by rating and reviewing our podcast at OnlyYouForever.com/love. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.